Hey friends, Kaylee with Kaylee's Canvases here. I am coming to you today because, well, tomorrow is Mother's Day, and I figured if you haven't gotten a Mother's Day gift yet, I would show you just a fun, simple painting that you can do that will be really beautiful that I think she would love. So I practiced painting it yesterday, and so this is what I painted yesterday, and I just thought it was very simple, very elegant, and easy to do, and I'll walk you through step by step how to paint this or a reproduction of it. So really all you need is white, blue, green, and maybe yellow and orange or whatever. I have a few different shades with me. I have black, dark green, regular green, a little bit of a blue, then we have a yellow orange and a yellow and a white. You really don't need all those colors. Just use whatever you got and we'll make something that looks similar. You can use any color that you want for the flowers, and we'll get right into this. So I have a white canvas that I didn't like the picture I had painted on here, so I just repainted over it white, so it's pretty much like a blank slate here. But we are going to go into this and we'll start with the background. So with me I have a large flat brush, a small flat brush, and a small round brush. And this is so we can get those fine details. Alright, but I'm just going to start with some white. Alright, and I'm going to put a lot of white on my canvas. Alright, I'm just going to load it right up with some white. It doesn't have to be a lot of white, but just enough to get a nice smooth background. And we're going to blend in some blue in that. Alright, so like you can see here, we do have some blue in the background. So we're going to do mostly white for now, and we'll add in the blue. And trust me, it doesn't take much blue to get that pretty colored sky. Alright, but you want to make sure your whole canvas is covered in white. Okay, so I've got that, and next I'm just going to take, with the same brush, I'm just going to take a little bit of blue, and I'm just going to add in some streaks in different directions. And this is just to get some different color, different shades of blue in the sky. It'll kind of give it a nice abstract sky like we have here on this one. Alright, and if you notice that sometimes it's hard to see if you have enough white on your canvas, but if you don't, just go ahead and add a little bit more as you're painting. And so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get maybe a little bit more blue down here. I'm going to try to leave this part a little bit lighter. Okay, and I'm just going kind of like messy brush strokes in different directions. Okay, I'm mixing in a little bit of white as I go if I noticed I missed any parts. And you can mix in like a different color. If you want a lighter blue or maybe a little bit of purple in the sky or pink, that would be really pretty too. Okay. Alright, so I think I have a nice blue coverage with kind of like just that, kind of like just like a misty sky look. There's nothing perfectly smooth about it. As you can see in this one that I did, it's pretty similar. Alright, and if you even want to, you can go a little bit farther by maybe adding just a hint of yellow. But you got to be careful because you don't want to mix in like too much yellow and have it kind of turn green. But just a little bit of yellow, just for a little bit of a difference in some areas, if you want to. Alright, and so we'll set that brush off to the side, and next we will use our small flat brush to paint the green leaves, the green grass and leaves. So I'm just going to go with my light green, okay, and I'm just going to start at the bottom while the paint is still wet, and I'm just going to drag up. And I'm going to kind of twist my brush as I do it so it makes like a thinner line. All right, and because my canvas is still wet, you can see it's definitely lightened up my grass, which is okay. I kind of like that soft look in this picture. All right, and so when you're doing this, you apply a lot of pressure down here, and as you're pulling up, slowly release on the pressure so that way you get the thinner line, and just kind of twist your brush as you're going up. If you're uncomfortable with it, if that doesn't feel natural, you can feel free to try it with your fine liner brush. All right, but we're just going to do that until we get a lot of not petals, but a lot of grass here. All right, and I'm going to want to go in different directions with this. Okay, and I'm just going to do a whole bunch of them, going different heights, different lengths, different directions. Okay, because grass and the leaves that are coming off of flowers do go in all sorts of different directions. Now I know like people love to give flowers for Mother's Day, but I think this would be something really unique, really from the heart, that I think would be pretty special. And she would, you know, instead of saying or expecting flowers every year, she could get some hand-painted flowers. All right. So we're going to keep going with some more. Not too much more as far as this, but next we will make some like longer, thinner stems that the flowers will be on. All right. All right, some of them that I want to be a little darker, I'm just going over them again. All right, and if you want to go on the side of your canvas to add some character. All right, so I'm gonna set that brush aside for a little bit. And next I'm gonna go in with my fine liner brush so we can get some of those tall, thin ones that our flowers will be on. Okay. So I'm just going to go up really from any point, and I'm going to think about where I want my flowers to be. And I'm going to pull them up really thin because I want my flowers to be on the thin, like the thin little stems rather than the thicker leaves. Okay, and remember we're going to do multiple stems in different directions just like the leaves. Okay. And we will darken up the leaves and the stems in a little bit. We just want to kind of get them fixed in place. And the nice thing about this is you don't even have to wait for it to dry to do this. Because I like the way, you know, not waiting for it to dry does pull in some lighter shades of green in this. If you have an unsteady hand, that works out really well for this painting. All right, so I think we have a good amount to create our flowers. All right, so what we'll do next is we'll add in some of those darker colors into the green, but we're going to do them more at the base. We're going to let the tips of the leaves and the stems be lighter, And so we're going to use that dark green, maybe mix in a little bit of black if you want it to be a little darker. All right. You don't want it to be like super dark, but just dark enough to kind of give it some contrast. All right, so I'm mixing that up and I'm twisting my brush so I can get a fine point on my paintbrush. Okay, and then I'm just going to take it and I'm going to go and I'm just going to add in some of those darker colors. And we'll add a little bit more later after it dries because we're only going to be able to get in so much darkness here. All right, and you can go back and forth between the different colored greens. But we don't want to overwhelm with the dark colors. So I think we'll stop there for now for that. All right, I actually forgot my jar of water. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm rinsing off my brushes and I'm gonna go in with, you can use either brush for this one. You can either use your small flat or your fine liner brush. For this one, I am going to use my small flat brush. All right, and I'm gonna go in with my yellows now. All right, I'm gonna start off with the yellow orange, the darker yellow. And I'm kind of gonna use my brush at a slight angle. The reason I wanted to use this brush rather than the other brush was just so I could get a little bit more paint to make some slightly longer strokes. The smaller brush only holds so much paint, but I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna do different size strokes for this. All right, just so they kind of look like little petals. And I'm only using the corner of my brush. I'm not using the whole flat side. I'm just using a corner of it. All right, and then I'm going to go in on the other side and I'm going to kind of make it almost look like a braid, slightly overlapping. All right, and if it pulls some of the green into your flower petals, that is actually okay. That just makes it just a little bit more realistic because you have all sorts of different colors when it comes to flowers. So I can't remember what the name of this flower is called, but I really like this kind of flower. I actually just saw it the other day when I was at the store and I wanted to get it, but then I remembered that I kill every plant that I get in my house. All right, so just go ahead and we're going to do this on quite a few stems. All right, and remember, it's okay if some of our stems go in different directions. This painting is not going to look exactly like my last painting. Every painting that I do looks different, even if I'm trying to recreate the same painting. So if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that's all right. And if you're painting this with a different color, that's okay too. Start off with your darkest color in the background, and then we'll add the lighter colors on top of it. All right, and if you are just tuning in, we're painting some flowers for Mother's Day. Feel free to paint along with us. If you see this and you want to paint it, but you don't have time right now because you're on the run, or you're doing something, or whatever the case might be, feel free to share this video so you can easily find it later and come back to it. Or if you're watching this on the replay, you can always pause me wherever you're at and catch up if you're a little bit behind or whatever, if maybe I'm going too fast for you. All right, so we'll do a couple more, and then maybe we'll even get in a smaller one down here. Okay, so next I'm going to rinse my brush off, and we're going to switch to a slightly lighter color. So what we're going to do is, if you're using the same color as me, you're going to use the lighter color yellow. If you're using pinks or purples, use whatever your lighter color is, and we're going to mix together a little bit of this lighter color and the white to make an even lighter color. We want it to be really light. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to give the illusion of some softer flowers in the background. Okay, we've just got some random petals, almost like they're kind of far off in the distance and we can't really tell what they are. Okay, so I've got a lot of white mixed in with that yellow to give like a soft yellow color. And I'm going to use my brush, and I'm just the same brush, and I'm just going to create, it almost looks like a really super off-white. All right, and I'm just going to go in different directions with this. Just kind of getting them in between these other areas. All right, and you can make as many or as little as you want. Okay, and then next, I'm rinsing this brush off, and I'm going to set it aside for a little bit. I may come back to this brush, I'm not really sure yet. All right, it really depends on what works for you. But next I'm going to go in with my fine liner brush, and I'm going to use the light orange that I have right here, not the mixed part that I did, but this light yellow that I have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on top of some of these other darker yellows. All right, it actually looks kind of more like orange than yellow, but it's a yellow orange. And I'm just going to go over top, not completely over top, but just kind of like a small short swipe. I don't want to mute out the color completely, I just want to add some highlights to it, and we're even going to add in some white highlights in a little bit. I just want to give some texture and contrast to this. And I'm just going to do this over all of these. And you might not notice a huge difference here with this, but you'll really notice it once we add on the white. Like I said, contrast really makes things pop. almost done with this yellow color. And if you haven't yet, I would love it if you would like and follow my channel or my page, or subscribe to my channel if you're watching this on YouTube. And also, tell me if you know, what is your mother's favorite flower? Probably should have asked this in like a little survey before we started painting these, but I like these. They're really pretty. And I'm a mom, so I figure there's other moms out there that would like this. But feel free to tell me, what's your favorite flower? What's your mom's favorite flower? Are you painting this too? I would love to know. Alright, so now we got some of that lighter yellow on top of there, and we will add in the white as well. Okay, so as you can see, this video is going super quick already. This painting, it's really not long or hard at all. So if you're a last minute shopper and you haven't gotten your gift yet, this would be a perfect idea. All right, so just go ahead and grab some white with your brush. You want to kind of make sure you grab a good amount on your brush, so that way it actually sticks, because whenever you paint wet on wet, you want to make sure that the paint you're putting on top is just a little bit more than the paint you're putting on the bottom part. Alright, so we're just going to go, but we're not going to make big marks. We're just going to do small marks just to add like a hint of light coming in. Be careful not to dip your hand in the paint like I did, because I always do this. Always get my hand in the paint. Okay. Getting pretty close with this white, and now that we were getting the white on there, you can really see that it's really starting to stand out. And see. And then we'll add a little bit more green in a minute. One of the things I would recommend is when you're done with this, maybe definitely make sure you write like love whatever your name is. So like instead of just signing it with your name, which you could do if you want to just sign it, just maybe put like with love, you know, from Kaylee or something like that. Right, and if you don't get it on every single petal, that's actually okay, because maybe the certain petals might be in different directions and might not have a lot of light shining on it. Sometimes if things are too symmetrical, you'll notice that they don't exactly look realistic. The most realistic things usually have some curve and body and flow to it, different highlights and lowlights, always has a lot of contrast. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna actually add just a little bit of white into some of my yellow spots. Just because I want them to be a little bit lighter than what they're showing up as. but I really like it. They almost look like these little eye-shaped ones, almost look like little tulips in the background. All right, so now that we have that, we're gonna go back in with some darker greens around here. Some of this is still wet, so we don't need to go crazy because I like that this is a very soft painting. The flowers are the focal point. We just want to add a little bit more darkness down here in the corner, not all the way up. A little bit more darkness and smoothness. So grab your small flat brush and just a little bit of paint and just gently smooth and add some color going up, but not all the way up, just enough. All right, and I'm going to go back in with my fine liner brush and add just a little bit more darkness again with that darker green going up. And now you can see it's blending a little bit better with that other green that we have now. A little bit bolder, but not too much. It's not overwhelming. All right. And there we have it. I think we have a very nice picture going on here. All right, so you can sign with whatever color you want to. Oh, hey Madeline, thank you so much for the compliment. But you can sign with whatever color you want to. I think that black would show up really well on here. And so you could really write it anywhere you want. I'm going to sign my name down here in the corner, but if you wanted to, you could write "Love you, Mom" up here or whatever. Whatever your little message is to her. All right, but if you are watching this, I would love it if you paint this with me and maybe share your picture with me so I can see it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a great Mother's Day. Bye.